Yo, TJ, you got a dope brand. Tell us all about it.
Within a year and a half of launch, we were doing $50K a month. First brand ever, I started it for 40 grand. I was very proud of that. I could consider leaving my job, and I actually did the flip on the website on Christmas Day. We've begun to absolutely skyrocket as a brand.
Dude, that's wild. I can't even imagine doing that. The name, the packaging.
I think I burned 50K of just pure loss, just trying to figure it out. Spinning my wheels and being like, what the am I doing here? And now I have like 10 to 15% of daily revenue coming from there.
TikTok take like a week or two to get traction. You're investing like way out in front, and then you're hoping that it turns out ROI.
This is all free CPM. Is meant to be actually entertaining, that you would actually watch. It just so happens that it's sponsored by our shows.
People are like, okay, I want to start a brand. I don't want to do like sketchy black hat. There's not really a whole lot of voices to look to, and I think you've been one of them.
I'm going to do everything right to make it something that's desirable, having clean IP, profitability. We're just setting it up so that they're coming to us trying to buy it. I don't even have to shop it around.
Yo, TJ, thanks for hopping on, man. It's great to have you on the pod.
Dude, the funniest guy on X. Here we are. X's comedian, the D2C comedian, Zane. Thanks for having me, bro.
I appreciate you, man. Your intro for me was better than the one I did for you. Now I feel like I'm the one getting interviewed. Appreciate that. Appreciate the love.
Yeah, you're the cool host, dude. It's all good.
Appreciate it, man. So you got a dope brand in the e-commerce space, D2C space. Tell us all about it. Tell us about the rebrand that you guys did recently. Take it from here.
Yeah, I assume that half the people listening will be relatively familiar with me, but if you're not, I was very, 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 very close to being stuck in the corporate grind, right? Like I worked in tech. I had the tech job. I thought, I bought the house in the suburbs. Like I was like in it. And like 2.5 years ago is when I launched Ramp Health, which is now the Outgoing Co., the rebrand that Zane was just mentioning. And I was just building it on the side. I had no experience with this stuff. Like I wasn't on money Twitter. Like I was just like I learned about it a little bit through the internet, and I'm an internet person, and I just got deeper and deeper into it. And then it started to work, dude. I mean, it started to work a little bit, and I started to figure things out little by little. And within a year and a half of launch, we were doing $50K a month, which I don't say that as like it's some crazy brag stat, but as somebody who was their first brand ever, I started it for 40 grand. I was very proud of that. And it brought us to a point where I could consider leaving my job. I don't know how many people know this. I don't say it too much publicly, but I did take on some investment from an individual, as well as some cash injection. So that enabled me to be able to quit and to kind of scale this thing. And now we're kind of mooning. And then the last bit would be switching from Ramp Health to the Outgoing Co. It was like 6 months of work, dude. Like I think I filed for the trademarks in April or May, and I actually did the flip on the website where I pressed publish on December 25th on Christmas Day was when I like actually switched it over. This shit takes so much time. It becomes a slow game. But since then, we've begun to absolutely skyrocket as a brand, like to the point where I'm almost like, I'm on like a Bronco and it's going, I'm in the arena, on the back of the bucking horse. But, so it's good things, but it's a lot.
Dude, that's wild. Yeah, I can't even imagine doing that because there's so much stuff between like the name, like the packaging, like informing all the customers. There's always going to be probably like one thing that you like forget to update. But it's cool that it works so well for you.
Yeah, dude. And also like think about Amazon. We had to restart. I don't have any like Amazon reviews to redo, TikTok reviews we have to redo, TikTok, everything, like all the old content. I have no organic content anymore. Like it's.
Yeah, that's crazy. So do you have to like make like a brand new seller center, like on TikTok shop? Do they let you just like change out everything, like the product names, the package, like all the images?
I just changed everything over because if you think about it, right, I just uploaded a new product. So it was just a new product. I didn't change the listings. I just made a new listing for a new product. And then I was able to change everything over. I had gone and grabbed the handles on burner accounts. So I had the handles that I wanted. That was easy. Amazon does not make it easy. The only thing that was a saving grace was I was able to create a sub brand under the Seller Central and Amazon to the Outgoing Co. So I have 2 brands technically under my account for now. So that's okay. Shopify was easy to, you switch all that over. That's not bad. But there's still some small things like on occasion you'll see like still like certain emails and certain headers and stuff still say Ramp Health. And like, the things you don't think about. I have like a really small Shopify capital loan I'm paying back right now, right? You can't change the name of your store and the email on your store while you owe them money, I guess, for like banking purposes. So like, yours will still say Ramp Health. And there's just like little things like that missed. But for the most part, you hit the nail on the head, dude. There's so much work and so many little things.
Wild. I like the fact that you're like proactive about it. I think a lot of like e-com brands, and it's a pretty young space, and like people are just like very drop shipping mindset, but like they know they don't have the trademark. They know that like they're probably not going to get the trademark. They're not thinking ahead about like inventory. They like starting February, they're like, oh, Chinese New Year? Like I didn't know that was the thing. Like my factory shut down. People don't really think ahead. Like what I respect is like, you did this out of just like thinking very long term and not like, oh, I'm getting sued now. Let me do something that, maybe I should have thought about 6 months ago.
Yeah, man. And also like, I'm not poo-pooing at anyone. I don't think I'm better than anyone, but I come from the startup software space, right? I come from a space where the whole point is people trying to exit their companies. I went into this trying to exit, and it doesn't mean I don't love my brand. It doesn't mean I don't want to build it, but like, I don't care how rare the statistics are. I'm trying to be one of those positive statistics, and I'm going to do everything right on every level to make it something that's desirable when someone comes to look at it, removing myself from the processes, having clean IP, right? Having profitability and recurring revenue and everything else. Like we're just setting it up so that they're coming to us trying to buy I don't even have to shop it around.
Yeah, super smart. Definitely makes sense. I mean, dude, the hat looks super clean. The packaging looks super clean now. What was like the process of like designing that? You do a lot of it in house. Did you get like some kind of creative branding agency to help you out with it?
This is going to sound a little cocky, but I did it all 100 myself with AI. 100% myself. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't hire designers to take me to the final mile with certain things, right? Like there's someone, Haley, that does a bunch of brand stuff on X. I always tag her. She helped me. Like I got 80% of the packaging. She went and like fixed all the little details that AI up. And she, made the die line work for the manufacturer and all those kind of things. But in terms of like general design on the packaging and the naming and everything, I did all that. This hat, for example, I have a hat that was kind of similar, and then I just took that design and changed it. So I like to creatively borrow without being and stealing things, right? Like just like see things I like and tweaking them enough. And even the packaging for Audi was inspired by some other brands and just kind of tweaked.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think like the workflow that you're saying is like almost what everything is going to move to. It's like legal, like obviously I wouldn't recommend like using AI to like write a whole contract, but if you write like 80-90% of it, then you get someone who's actually a lawyer to review it and do like the finishing touches. Like I see AI moving that direction where it's like you're not going to file something with just AI, but like you can probably do like 80-90% of the work, and then like someone who's a professional can just make sure that like everything looks good. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's like the scrappy, like smart way to do it without just blowing a ton of money if you're like in startup, like mid-stage e-commerce brand. What I really like about your platform and kind of how you kind of do Twitter is like you're very honest about that background. You're like, hey, I'm pretty new to the space. I'm here to learn. Like I'm just doing things. I'm messing up. I'm learning from them. And you're kind of sharing it along the way. Like this is everything that I've learned. Like you're pretty focused on like the personal brand and just like your life as well. Like you're kind of showing everything. How much do you think of the sales that are coming to the brand are coming from like people finding you on X, seeing a couple of your tweets, being like, oh, I really like this guy, finding out later that you have this brand, wanting to support? Like when I see people like Nick Shackelford and Aaron, it's just like, I feel like so much of Breeze, maybe not like all the sales, because like they're running meta ads, you're running meta ads, but so much of like this, I guess, and like the halo effect is just like people seeing them on Twitter and just like seeing how the brand's doing, really rooting for them, liking those guys. How much of your success do you think is like attributed to that, and how much of it is just like, dude, I'm making really good ads on Meta and they're crushing?
I would say that if it was a chart, it would look like this, right? Like when I was starting, that was everything, was X and the personal brand and everything. And like when I say it's going like this, it doesn't mean that I devalue it, and it doesn't mean that I don't like I'm not continuing to do it. It doesn't bring success. It's just, to your point, as we ascended, our ads got better, and I spend multiple thousands of dollars a day in ads, right? So like that just makes the number smaller. So my 17,000 followers on X become less of a chunk. But at the same time, that's what's held up the whole brand, right? Like when I did the rebrand, I didn't start spending a lot of money until like January 15th. So I had like almost 3 weeks of like just sending some emails and like hitting up people. The X community like boosted that up. And it just continues to. I also think that I wouldn't have any of the business connections I have. You and I wouldn't be connected, right? I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I wouldn't even have my investor who I met through X. I have like advisors and partners that work. I have small piece that help me with this. Like I met everybody through X and through that personal brand and doing it the way that I do. Also, I really want to say thank you for the compliment that you threw in there too. I try really, really hard to not be like a guru because I'm not a guru. I'm like, yo, I'm figuring this out right now. And this is working. And like, if you want to try it, try it. I just want to let you know, like, first off, if you lose money, it's not my fault. Second of all, like, this is exactly what I'm doing. Like right now, I just did it on TikTok in the platform because Zane told me to do it. And now I'm coming to tweet about it and show you that like 2 days ago, I started this and this is how many samples we're sending or whatever the thing is. So I appreciate it because I think that that's missing. I think that most of the content is either like raw beginner, this is how you set up your Shopify, or I love Sean, but like I'm the CEO of Ridge and we do $500 million a year and this is how you should spend $100,000 a day on Meta. And I feel like the in between is like really lost, where someone like me, where I'm at, just like multi 6 figures a month as a brand, which is like that in between of like just kind of started to hit scale, but not too big yet.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely a gap. Like there's like the Sean people who are like, they're running businesses where like most of their day is probably like in meetings and like managing a team and like delegating. And then there's people who are on like the opposite side of the spectrum where they're just like drop shippers or they're just like doing like really sketchy stuff. They're posting like the Lambo pics, they're posting the car pics, and like, that something's not right there. And then that middle where people are like, okay, I actually like see the ultimate wellness space picking up. I want to start a brand. I don't want to do like sketchy black hat MRR. I know these guys are, just like BSing me. There's not really a whole lot of voices to look to. And I think you've been one of them where people are like, oh, okay, like I kind of have an idea of like how to start a brand just from like watching it. Obviously they got to do it and they got to learn themselves. But there's at least a source that's like, okay, you could be like very private about the brand because people are constantly worried about ripoffs. You see like Chris on there, like replying to people like, hey, send me your link. Like, cause there's always gonna be copycats. Yeah. So you take a little bit of a risk. Like you take a little bit of risk, like personal brand, like personal life, like being too like transparent. You take a little bit of risk with copycats by being out there, but I respect that you're doing it and like people are watching your journey and everybody's interested. Like you're doing a lot of these pods. A lot of people are tuning in like, okay, what does it actually take to start a brand and not be scamming people basically in this kind of environment?
I really appreciate that, dude. And like, another thing is I do an MRR model, right? But I do an MRR model where it says subscribe and save. And you get a confirmation email that you subscribed and you get a reminder 3 days before. And there's a one-time purchase option. So like, I also get really like, you could trust me with $1,000 cash next to you and I won't steal it. I'm like a very principled, very moral person. And I'm associated just by being a supplement brand that's in the MRR space with Black Hat, with scammers, with even like brands that I won't name that are doing hundreds of millions of dollars that do gray area stuff and Black Hat stuff. And I just want to be that example that you're talking about. I want to be like, yo, you can do this just like very legit. And I'm doing it right now. Like we have a 72% take rate on subscription on the front end right now.
Nice.
With it being very obvious, it's just a discount. I'm not even giving free gifts or anything right now. It's just, if you look at my website, you get 40% off if you subscribe. When it's very obvious, I'm saying, I want you to subscribe. That's how I make money. If you do it, you get this huge discount. You can cancel before your first one.
Nice. Yeah. Like it's definitely the hard way to do it, but it's like, it's going to keep you out of trouble. It's going to keep the brand long term. So it sounds like you're doing a ton on Meta. Like a lot of your sales are coming from Meta, but you guys have been doing TikTok Shop as well. How's that been working for you? Is TikTok Shop something where you're like, hey, this is going to be like brand awareness, halo effect, loss leader? Or are you thinking like, hey, like this year, next year, like I really think that TikTok Shop's going to be like as big, trying to get it as big of a channel as it is for you with Meta?
TikTok Shop and I have a very interesting relationship. I've been on it for 2 years. So I launched my brand in July of 23. I was on TikTok Shop in November of 23. So I was like early to it.
That's pretty early.
Absolutely could not make it work. Then my issue was just I was too small. I didn't know anything. The volume wasn't there in terms of like creatives. I was like yapping videos by myself, and I was getting scammed by kids in Jimmy Farley's group for $500 retainers. And shout out Jimmy. He did help me very early on.
He's a good dude.
He's a great dude. I'm saying the kids in the Discord were like, yeah, bro, I was post $30,500. They would post 3 times and then it's like never come back and whatever. But like, that's how I initially started. And then with that, I've also always been and still am very close with the Knobs guys. And we all know, most people should know, they're like the number one toothpaste on TikTok. They're like TikTok, crown jewel. TikTok headquarters calls them, like they're great. They figured out the platform. So between them and then eventually I met you, I kind of like started to understand like what I was supposed to do with the platform. So in August and September of last year, of 25, still always just like kind of half-assing TikTok. I was like, all right, I'm going to take TikTok seriously. So I really started like seeding affiliates, and I started using GMV Max, and I started running top of funnel campaigns because I couldn't get my GMV Max to spend plus organic. So I was like really trying. And I think I burnt 50K, I told you before we started recording, at least in just August and September alone, of just pure loss, just trying to figure it out, spinning my wheels and being like, what the am I doing here? And just like, I understand why people say you can't make money on TikTok. And then from there, I was like, all right, can't do this. So I kind of slowed it down a little bit, got it into a place where we were doing less GMV, but it was relatively profitable. And then fast forward to this rebrand, I basically had to restart on the platform. But I'm restarting with 10,000 followers and huge audiences to already retarget with everything and kind of like understanding the platform. And now, as of the last 2 weeks, I have like 10 to 15% of daily revenue coming from there. And I'm at like a 1.4, 1.5 total blended ROAS on the platform. Nice. And that's counting halo effect from Amazon. That's just talking like reported ROAS in the platform. So that's a long-winded way of saying, I went from, what the fuck is this? I'm trying to figure it out and I blew it, to now I feel like it's in a decent place and growing.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's also really impressive because so much of TikTok Shop, like momentum, is based on the product. Like if you start like a brand new product and you're starting over, like for people that don't know, it's just like all the videos that the affiliates are posting that they're linking to the product. They're not linking to the store page. They're not linking to anything else. And when you did the rebrand and you launched a new product, you're basically, like you said, besides like your following and some of the organic content that you're putting out that people are seeing you, but like in terms of the actual listing and all the affiliates and everything like that, you're basically starting from zero. So that's super impressive that it's working now. How are you thinking about it? Like you mentioned that you did some early on retainer creators that just like didn't work out. Are you thinking still like, okay, I'm gonna hire some like micro creators, I'm gonna give them retainer, they're gonna post like 30 times a month? Or are you thinking like, hey, I'm gonna use one of these outreach bots, I'm just gonna spam out samples and they're gonna post maybe 1 or 2 videos, but like all I paid was like, the cost of like the free sample? Live streaming, is that something that you're interested? How are you thinking about it like going forward?
Yeah, so I think we can use this opportunity to give like for anyone listening, like here's your mini guide to TikTok Shop, right? And again, this is from the point of view of someone who's a little bit smaller than some of the huge brands. This is like, if you want to start from zero, this is what I would do right now, and this is everything that we're doing right now. So first and foremost, I do have a live streamer. I don't know if any of you guys watching have seen it. I have somebody live streaming for like 3 to 4 hours a day, 20 hours a week. With Audi that I pay. She's like a young entrepreneur that's really good at it. So she's crushing it. So we have that. And then I set a budget of $100 to $200 of GMV Max Live as well. So when they go live, that gets boosted a little bit. We seed 3 to 5 free samples every live edition, as well as giveaways to get people in the door. So that's one. And that was the first thing that we did right away, just to try and get some initial momentum. Second of all, Zane gets all the credit for this one. Yuka bot. Shout out Jeremy. I use Yuka. I am sending 2,000 messages a week, and now I just got the approval to go up to 5,000 a week for target collaborations to invite folks to be affiliates. Part of that comes with, I offer the fattest possible commissions I could. So we pay 40% for organic.
That's and
high. I pay 10% on GMV Max, sometimes 15%, depending on how much GMV they've done in the past. Basically, like anyone good, I'll give you 15% because I'm trying to seed the platform right now. I probably will have to drop that. But for the start, like You guys can do math. Anyone listening to this is probably in the space. Like I have an 80% gross margin. So I view it like, oh, it's a clear 2.5 ROAS if I give a 40% commission for this. So, or a 2 ROAS if you take in the cost of the product. So like I'll just very easily see that and do that, no problem. So that's 1, Yucabot, and 2, lives. And then 3, I do some outreach direct. If I see anybody that's making content that I like, I will go out of my way to, as a founder, personally reach out to them and be like, hey, we think your content would be great. We'd love to work with you. And then also if anyone starts to perform, we reach out for retainer stuff. But that's a small percentage right now. I probably should be better at that, but that's a small percentage. And then last but not least, I don't want to give away all the sauce, but we have some really cool AI and not AI combination ads that we're doing right now. Like basically, we're doing these really good storytelling type things where, we tell a story and then also it switches into a real person, and that transition happens. And those are doing well organically. So if you combine all of that, and then also the Josh Suggs, shout out Street Talk. You have a bunch of those interviews that are always pumped out. Those are great top of funnel creatives. And I also run those as video view campaigns, top of funnel on TikTok as well. Combine all that. We're building the audience. We're getting all the samples seeded. We are very quickly ascending in sales. I think I have like a couple hundred sales in the product already in like 2 weeks of doing this. And climbing, and we have all 5-star reviews and everything, and going from there. And the snowball's begun. And now, I'm doing more than $1,000 GMV a day on the platform and growing.
Nice, dude. I honestly think you're in a really, really good spot because TikTok Shop is obviously so, or maybe it's not that obvious. It's like very exponential. It's not like linear growth. It's a platform focus on virality, and we usually see like best results like starting like month 3 or 4. So I think it's going to keep picking up for you. If you're doing you're doing a decent ROAS on TikTok Shop, you're getting that spillover to Amazon. Are you seeing obviously it's pretty early days where you just started getting videos in since like the rebrand, went live like last December. Have you tried repurposing any of those videos, getting usage rights, running them on Meta? Have any of them done well on Meta?
I did that successfully before the rebrand. So it's something we're going to look to do now. So the answer to your question is yes, I have done it, just it's too new to do it right now. Like I haven't seen enough data to perform. One other thing I just want to throw in there, Zane, because I don't want this to be just all sunshine and rainbows. Like people need to understand, I've seeded probably 300 samples already in the last 2 weeks from the Yucabot plus. Dude, I lost that. I lose thousands of dollars when I do that, right? I think that in cost, that's like $7,000 or something like that with like shipping and everything to get it out. So like you need to be prepared to do the loss leader on this too, right? Like it will work and it's starting to work, but you need to shell out the cash to do this and pay. That 3PL bill is going to go up as you just send out free samples with zero revenue coming in the door. So I just don't want it to always seem like, oh yeah, dude, it's so easy. Yeah, no, anyone can do it. Like there's money and time associated with this as well. And then the other thing I would like to ask is, so I just gave you the overview of everything we're doing. Roast it, right? You're the expert here on this stuff. Like, what am I missing? And do you like what we're doing? Like, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think you've been pretty transparent about it. Like the first time you did it, it was like a 50K loss. This time you're like, hey, I'm doing 1,000 a day in sales, but like now you're like reinvesting more than you're making in profits, sending out those samples, and it's going to be like months before maybe you have the ROI from that. And that's just how it is. Like it's not like Meta or like other platforms where you're like, okay, I'm hitting like a 2.5, I'm going to bump the budget by 20%, or I'm going to double the budget. And it's just like as soon as you raise the budget, like the sales come in like that same day. It's not like that with TikTok Shop. It's like if you're going to increase like your budget, like you're spending more on sending out those samples, it could be like a month or 2 before that video even, goes viral. It's like you're going to send it out. You're paying your COGS like, months ago when you ordered the inventory. You're paying the 3PL like as soon as you ship it out or whatever your terms are. It takes 3 or 4 days for the creator to get it. The creator gets it. TikTok gives them up to 2 weeks to post. They post, then it takes like a week or 2 to get traction. So like you're investing like way out in front, and then you're hoping that it turns out ROI. And that's something that we always try to get brands to understand. It's like, okay, it's not going to be like, we kind of got spoiled by Meta where it's just like, okay, I raised the budget and that same day I can see if it did well. So I think you've been pretty transparent about it. It's like, it's not like just going to be a cash machine from like day 1 or month 1. I like your guys' strategy. I think if you're doing kind of a mix of retainers and sending out free samples, like that's what we usually recommend in the beginning. Like the free samples, it's going to be just way lower quality in terms of like, you're not going to get revisions. You're not going to get the ability to like force creators to follow a script. They're going to get the product and like all their obligation is to post a video, and there's no revisions before that video goes live. But hopefully you have a product that you can send that's not going to cost a ton, right? Like if you just recently launched like the RTDs, if you're sending them like a 6-pack or a 12-pack of an RTD, you're going to burn so much money sending that sample and get one video back that like has like maybe a 5% chance of, really going viral, versus if you have like a powder and you had like a travel size or something and you had one pouch and then you had made a listing where like, yeah, they're going to tag the listing that has like the travel pack, but that's going to be like the very last variant. And like in the beginning, they're just going to see the normal price stuff. That makes it a lot more efficient, right? So like brands have to like really understand like their unit economics, like inventory. Like you say, inventory is not free. Sending the sample is not free. Like there's a cost of shipping. There's a cost to like for that inventory, and it could have been like a unit that you could have sold and made a profit on, right? Like if you're super bootstrapped, where it's just like you're ordering just enough, it's just like one less unit that you could have sold on Meta and done like contribution margin. So I think your plan's solid. It's like you want to do retainer creators, you want to do sampling as well, and then whatever's working, you just want to double down. Like if you have a creator that's like crushing it, like you sent them a sample, they did like 1,000 on one video, they did 500 on like the second video. Well, now like you already got a pretty solid ROI, and that person understands the product. Their audience is a good fit. Like everything is just kind of working well. Like get that person on a retainer. So like instead of sending out 5 more samples at like $20 a sample or whatever it is, you pay that guy like $100 for 5 videos. And some creators, like they're more than willing to do it because like in the first place, they did it just for a free sample and commission only, right? So if you give them...
Now it's found money. Yeah.
Exactly. It's extra money for them, and like maybe they're having a slow month and like things aren't hitting. That happens a lot. If you can give them some like guaranteed payout, they'll do it. I like that you're already doing live streaming. Typically for us, we don't even recommend it until like a little bit down the road because it can be pretty expensive. It just depends on how you do it. And like live streaming is starting to pick up, but it's still maybe like 10% of our sales. And you just got to be smart about it. Like you got to be scrappy. Like the way that you guys are doing giveaways, you're giving out free samples like on the live. Like it's got to be high effort. Otherwise, like if you just, you hire some agency to do live streaming, they're paying for the rent on the studio, they're paying for that creator's like hourly fee. Then they're, they have to make a profit on it, and then they're charging you. I mean, you're spending like $7,000-8,000 a month on live streaming, and it's
double that.
It could be double that, and then like you might not even get, as much in sales. Like you might not even do a 1.0 for like months, and then that's when like brands start to think like, oh man, like I don't know about this channel, like the investment's super high. So we do like a crawl, walk, run. If the brand has budget, then it's like, okay, let's spend like $5-10 on these flat fee creators. Let's send out 200-300 samples. And let's just know that like, we're not really going to judge the performance too harshly until like 3 or 4 months out, because that's how long it's going to take to really pick up.
One thing that I wanted to bring up that I think you can have some insight into, and it's probably like if you were giving me a report card right now and I'm getting like B's and A's, this is like my C to D, is organic content. We're just not good at it. And I say that not good at it, not in the fact that I don't know how to make a video that's good. It's, I just don't do enough of it. I am a solo founder. I don't have any employees. I just have one agency, 2 VAs, and then, Andre's Wi-Fi helped me with some AI stuff, and ads. But outside of that, it's just me. So there's only so much that I can do in a day. I'm already doing 12, 14 hours a day. It's like, how can I add in that too? What have you seen be effective for brands trying to do it? Like I see Frost Buddy, right? I see Brock talking about how they do 4 to 5 pieces of organic content every single day, use that as their creative testing ground, use the winners on Meta, yada, yada. Like I don't want to copy that exactly, but I think there's a lot of value in that strategy and what he's putting out there. What do you see work for that?
Yeah, what's nice about like organic content on TikTok Shop, like let's say Frostbite video goes viral or whatever, they're not paying that commission. So it's like, okay, you can start scaling that with ads and like be much more profitable than you have if you have like a creator that you're paying. Even if it's like 10% shop ads commission, it's like still 10% that's not going to the bottom line. So that can be really effective. I think it's very high leverage as like a founder, because people love to see those founder videos. I think like Jordan with instant hydration, Brock with Pross Buddy, even like Aaron with Breeze, like they've all made a founder video that's like gotten a ton of spend in the account, because people like to see that, especially as like AI gets bigger and it just feels impersonal. But like you said, it's like,
dude, that guy, he does like all the optimized minerals. You know that brand?
I think I've actually seen them on Shop. Like I think I've gotten some of their ads.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the founder there, he's somebody that I've looked at as like an inspiration for, because it is a supplement that he's doing it with too. It's like a daily mineral supplement, and he does a good job of getting a lot of views. And it's just like Yappuccino videos of him like with the product in his phone in the selfie, which I like too.
Yeah, it can definitely be very effective, because it's like, as a consumer, you're like, okay, this is a guy that's behind the brand. He's willing to like put his face behind it. It's high trust. And in like an environment where like people are losing trust because of AI, it's just going to get more and more effective. Where it gets tricky, like what you're saying, it's just like, as a founder, you're trying to do whatever's highest leverage. You're like, I could spend time making this video, or I can like start building on a team, and then there's people working and doing stuff, and like my effort is just being multiplied across that like lever. So then there's just like trade-offs. What I've also found, like we've had a couple clients that are like celebrities. It's like they've had products, and like these are like pretty big time celebrities where they're driving a ton of sales every time they make a post. But it's actually been pretty difficult to build out like an affiliate arm that is just going to perform as well, because so much of the brand becomes people buying because of that person, to the point where like if they're not in the videos, like maybe like 4 or 5 years in, they're like, hey, I'm tired of just constantly making videos. Like I want to do other stuff. I'm getting kind of burnt out. And it gets very difficult to transition that off. It's like almost like a key man risk in a business, where it's like people have been buying for that person. And then suddenly you're like, okay, here's an affiliate that has nothing to do with the brand besides they're getting paid for free product. And it's just tougher to get that to work. So, I mean, I still think that like 1 or 2 videos a day, like that's good. Especially if I would focus more on like quality, and I would still get the quantity from the creators. I wouldn't, as a founder, be trying to make like 5 videos a day. I don't think it really makes sense. But I could be wrong. Like I think this year is really going to prove out if that hypothesis is right or not, because that's what a lot of people have been saying. It's like social is so important. Like you said, like get a video that works well on social, edit it, add a CTA. We're going to see that this year if that's actually what's going to work, or is it going to be like the guys that are using AI and just like pumping out like 300 videos a day? Time's going to tell. Like the market's going to prove like which hypothesis is correct, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't want to derail too much. We can talk about this a little bit after we finish with TikTok Shop here, but I don't know if you saw, my partners, I have launched our own owned media. We have a separate health show that we launched. That's also taking this hypothesis and seeing everything that's learning. And I don't want to call my shot like Babe Ruth yet and like scratch our backs with one episode launch, but we got over 100,000 views on episode 1 already.
It's insane.
It's crazy. And I do think we're going to be copied. I think that the way we're doing it is really cool, because the cost for the whole show with a professional production team and editors and everything is like, for them, it's less than a day of ad spend. And for me, it's like 2 days, 3 days of ad spend. So like from our point of view, it's like, this is all free CPM, right? For us, we're not free CPM, but like we don't have to, there's no upcharge, right? Like whatever the views are, that's us. And we can insert our product in. We may eventually, but right now we're not taking ad reads from anyone else. It's just us, our product sitting in front of us. We're the founders. We're talking about it. It's content that is meant to be actually entertaining too, like that you would actually watch. It just so happens that it's sponsored by our shows. There's a bunch of people we took inspiration from. Like we're not going live and we're not about tech, but like TBPN is a great example of like how they exploded, and Ramp sponsors them. And I think there's a lot of people kind of sort of going in this direction. But we took it really seriously, and I think that that's going to be something that other people are going to emulate off of us. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we hit the nail there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think also the ability to like, you check your YouTube analytics, see like where people are like replaying, where people like which parts are doing really well, clipping that, turning that into ads. It's like you would normally pay like a creative agency, like, and I've seen these quotes, like you're going to pay them like 10 grand for like some podcast read, like fake ones of your product versus you can, like you said, spend that money doing it. You're hanging out with people that you like, you're learning stuff from like the conversation that you guys are talking about. Then you're clipping some like actual, like, reads of your product where you're just like very organically being like, oh, okay. And that's, that's a common reason why people use our product, and you're pulling it up. And it's like, normally you'd have to spend thousands for something that like a consumer might see and be like, oh yeah, this is a fake pod read, or it's, it's just like a random UGC actor and it's not the founder. And the founder has so much more leverage when it's them promoting the product,
Yeah, dude. And even if like at a bare minimum, just the YouTube ad spend or ad money alone could cover the cost of it, and then it just becomes a free engine and it's just our time. It's like if nothing else comes from it, right? Just that alone is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. There's like, I don't know if you've met Isaac from like Mini Katana, but he built his whole business, right? Like the first business that he had was him selling like letter openers, or basically like swords, right? Like he was selling these swords. You couldn't run ads on Meta because it's a weapon. So he had no choice but to do organic, right? So he started off with YouTube organic, TikTok organic. He built that whole business and exited based on organic, and a lot of it being YouTube. And now he does like YouTube for like a lot of different brands, but it's so powerful. Like even for what we do now, like as an agency, it's like I could either, I could throw out a bunch of short form videos, or I could like, write tweets, and like the barrier to that is pretty low. But like anytime someone sits through like an entire YouTube video, I'll be on calls with people all the time, and they'll mention YouTube videos that they watch. Like anyone that watches that whole thing, where they're with you like 20, 25 minutes, that's so much more effective than like they saw like a couple short videos or they saw a couple written tweets. By the end of that, they like actually like you as a person. You built the authority, you built that trust. They feel like they're almost in a room with you, right? If the podcast is done right. And then it's like, they're just like, take my money. Like you're the type of person that I want to work with. You're who I want to hire. They watch your episode and they're like, your brand like really resonates with me. I want to buy from you, right? So I think that can be so effective. And as like attention gets almost like just more divided and like people have shorter attention spans, like I'll make like a YouTube short sometimes and it'll get like way more views than like the long form, but like nothing will come from it. Like there'll be like no subs, there'll be like no clicks, because it's just people are just scrolling, right? It's just like a dopamine thing. Versus if they sit through like a whole long form, it's like it takes some attention, and it takes some like level of like being purposeful that's just not happening when people are scrolling to the algo.
I know it's like an eye roll, but the example I always look to is Hormozy, right? Like I've been to a Hormozy workshop. I gave him $5,000.
Yeah, I've heard those are great.
I personally took a lot of value from it. People can slander him in whatever way they want for his personal stuff, but in terms of like going to an event and learning about all your numbers for your business and how to set up your business in a way where people will look at it to sell. How we started this pod, right? I talked about how that's something that's really important to me. I learned a lot of that from the Hormozy workshop. I went there and like, I didn't know that you're supposed to be at, a 3-to-1 ratio of LTV to CAC. And like, I didn't know like about key man risk, how big it was, and IP and trademarks and all these things, right? Like I learned that there, and I went through a whole workbook and like went through all my figures for my business and whatnot. So, but the point, not to get too derailed, the point is I watch all his stuff long form, right? I feel like I have like a parasocial relationship with that guy. I've watched hundreds of hours of his face talking. And when people like you and there's a trust factor, it's huge. So like you said, short form, yeah, it's good. And like, yeah, it's choppy and it can get a lot of views and whatnot. But if you want any trust and you want to cut through and have authenticity, it's the long form stuff is good. And I don't know if you were able to watch the whole episode. You don't even have to answer that. But the way that we're setting it up is like everything is 30 to 45 minute episodes, not 3-hour health episodes. And we're trying to cut it into like 5-minute segments where it feels like an early 2000s MTV show, right? Like this segment is a tier list, and this segment is us being funny, and this segment is the guest, and this segment is us debriefing. And we threw a lot of infographics and a lot of animations on the screen as well to try and change things up and make it a lot more enticing and interesting and entertaining.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I honestly think with Hormozy, like if you look at like the $80 million like book launch and people are like, wow, that's like amazing. So much of it is like you said, like there's all these people watching like the long form and getting to know him and just spending so much time with him. And there's no ask. Like people like Gary Vee, people like Hormozy, they will give like 100 hours of value before they even spend like an hour trying to get your money. and you just see that work out for them, and it's all the behind the scenes of them just like almost like dedicating their life to like making that content for free, right? And then it kind of pans out.
It's kind of like TikTok Shop we were talking about, right? Like you gotta lose money and invest that upfront to eventually do it. They have enough money where they can do that on a much longer time horizon. But that seems like it's kind of the theme with everything is how long can you take the pain? How long can you sink in with getting nothing out until the payday?
100%. I'm going to take like kind of a sharp right turn on what we're talking about. You're at the point now, like you guys are growing pretty strongly D2C. You have like obviously like a product that works really good for D2C where you have like a powder. It's not too expensive to ship compared to an RTD, but you got like the RTDs launching. What do you think in terms of retail? Like, when do you think that's something that's even going to be like a conversation for you guys? How are you thinking about like potentially being in retailers one day?
So my goal is to do retail first and only focus on retail for the RTD. So I will not be selling the RTD D2C at all to start. It's only going to be like a small retailer play trying to go for bigger retailers. And I'm not opposed to it, but my plan is to keep Audi and my other products D2C only online or TikTok and Amazon, etc. And the thought process behind that is, first and foremost, those are where those two things work best, right? Like RTD works best in retail, and my other products work best online, and instead of vice versa. Second of all, getting back to, I would like to sell my business eventually. I think that's a nice amount of meat on the bone to be left for somebody as well that was a potential acquirer. Like, oh, the RTD can be sold B2C and to our existing audience. And then, oh, this product is not in GNC yet, Audi, or it's not in Target yet, or whatever. So that's part of it. And then last but not least, I just feel like it's a lotto ticket with an RTD, right? Like it's really hard. Beverage is hard. Like I look at Breeze from afar, and I'm like, those guys, they push through some hard stuff to get to the point where they're shipping cans D2C and plus retail and whatnot. But it's worthwhile too, right? Like when you get a beverage going, you could get a 10x revenue valuation if you get that to work. So like there's payoffs to it, and that's how I'm thinking about it, Zane. Right? I have my bread and butter when I'm doing D2C and online. And the RTD and the retail stuff is like, it's a lotto ticket in MLS.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. In terms of like right now, you mentioned that you have like a small like private investor that kind of helped the brand get out off the ground. As you're dealing with like retail in the future, you got like the cash flow issues that come with retail, right? Like they're going to pay you like net 30 or even like net 60 or something crazy like that. It's going to be a while until you get the cash. Or are you thinking about, hey, I'm going to have to raise money. I'm going to do another round. Or are you thinking, I'm just going to keep bootstrapping it. I want to keep, a little bit more equity, a little bit more of that to be, still in-house?
Without revealing too many details, my investor has the amount of cash equivalent to institutional money, personally. So he is a very wealthy individual. And if we need the cash, we can take it to whatever level we need to, and we have an agreement in place where he has as much equity as he's going to have, and I can do equity for you. Well, I don't want to get into details. But I have the ability to get as much cash as is needed for this venture, as long as numbers show that they're going in the right direction.
Nice. That's badass. In terms of your background, so like you came from like a sales background. How much of that you think has been like almost like a superpower? Like people say like you enter a new industry, like, yeah, there's a ton that you have to learn, but like your unique background could help you see things that like people in e-commerce are just not seeing because everybody is like been following the same trends. What does that help you with? Has it helped like copyright? Has it helped with like being able to really convince customers, like convert? Like where do you think that's like played a part in your success?
So I was a sales engineer, which was basically like a technical salesperson in the software space. And the last company that I left is an AI marketing tech. So like I did have a lot of carryover in terms of like I was very familiar with AI and like all the tools and everything on the cutting edge. I also was very familiar with corporate marketers and what they look for and what they do. Not that they're shade, but it showed me how little they know. I was talking to CMOs of $100 million companies and like they didn't even know like the basics of their own attribution or anything like that, right? Like I have distinct memories of being on calls and like explaining awareness stages and attribution to like people that are running, like 100 million ARR businesses and things like that. But the carryover came from, first and foremost, a lot of people in our space didn't have a real job ever. They kind of like went into this. There's a level of professionalism where I don't think you need to be a corporate stuff. I actually hate that stuff. I'm very anti-corporate, but there's a level of professionalism that's missing sometimes. And just like standards and the way like certain things are done and the way certain things are worded and like being on time and respectful. Like there's just certain things that I think are really powerful to learn from that world. And second of all, I worked at a 12-person startup, 100-person startup, 1,000-person Series E. And then I just left a 150-person Series C. So I was able to see like all the different stages of inside of startups. Even though they were software and tech startups, I still got to see like founders, what they're doing, how much are they doing, like what is the hiring like all these conversations with VCs and whatnot. I was like very versed in that world enough to like understand it. And again, I think it's showing in the way that I'm doing this. I'm building my company in a very, very legit anti-drop shipping, anti-scammy way. Like my company is being built to be sold.
100%. Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. You just came back like last week, I think, or maybe even early this week from a conference down in Miami. How helpful do you think that's been as like a brand owner? Like you've been learning, you mentioned you learned a ton from like just being on X, learning from like other people in the space, like online. Has it been helpful for you to be at like these in-person events, connecting with brand owners, connecting with, I guess, like even vendors and stuff for things that you might need? How's that played a role in like your ability to just really absorb very quickly and get, pretty educated on D2C in like just a couple of years?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like being able to talk to, first off, being able to decipher between who's a beginner or a LARP and who is like actually doing the thing. And then once you are able to like have that type of discernment and understand like who's legit, and usually it just comes down to like how open are they about what they're doing, right? In terms of like, I understand protecting yourself online, but if we're one-to-one at an event sitting next to each other and you won't reveal to me like what you sell or whatever, like, I'm sorry, I think you're doing something shady. And like things like that, like once you can kind of discern and cut through, you can find the winners. And then once you find the winners, usually they're willing to share because they're not worried about like someone stealing their. And like, I also publicly share a lot of my stuff, but when I'm in person with somebody, like just shooting I'm like at this event that you're referencing, I was pulling up my Instagram account, showing ads, showing my top performers to people. I was like looking, I literally opened up my ad account and showed them how much we're spending and like ROAS. Like I have no problem doing that stuff because I have nothing to hide. I'm not pretending, I'm not LARPing. There's no Rolex, there's no Lambo. Like I'm a dad in the suburbs. Like there's just trying to scale my business. And I think that kind of real connection, and when you can get that, it opens up doors, right? And we talked about it when we were at the beginning of the pod before we started recording. Like you and my connection, we got connected through Andres, right? And I ended up having an issue with TikTok Shop that you were able to resolve, and no one else was able to resolve for me. Shout out Zane's agency. Shout out Zane. You guys should use him. But you were able to stop me from basically losing my TikTok Shop, and it all ended up being like some stupid AI flag that I got that I didn't deserve.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense. I think just connecting with the right people, like you said, like finding those people, understanding that you guys have like a similar goal, like similar vibe, like you feel like, okay, in person, I feel like it's easier to tell like who's a grifter and who's not, kind of like you're saying. And then down the road, it's like, this is such a tough industry, and to like be trying to figure out everything by yourself is really tough. It's good to have at least a couple friends, a couple other people in the industry that you can just bounce ideas off of, get like the real kind of download about like what they do and what they recommend versus just like what people are posting on Twitter for engagement,
Yeah, dude. And I guess like kind of in the same vein, right? Like to what we were just talking about. I would ask you, what does it look like from your point of view, right? Because you are somebody who's very tuned into this space. And like, I feel like I'm kind of a unique, I hold a unique position in this space. Like, what does it look like to you from the outside? Like, do you think there's like some stuff that we're doing that is different? Or do you think that you just see the strategy formally, and it's like, oh, they're morphing into, when I say they, like me and my brand and whatnot, into like how things are supposed to scale. I'm just very curious what it's like for someone looking in on the way that we're doing things.
Yeah, so I think like what the standard is for e-commerce is very like it's almost like very formulaic where it's like, okay, you're gonna focus on one channel at a time, and you're gonna start with Meta, you're gonna like make a bunch of ads yourself for Meta, then you're gonna hire some creative agency to make more ads, you're gonna hire a different creative agency to make more ads, you're gonna start just publishing 200 ads per week in the ad account, and you're just gonna figure out your margins and figure out what you need to do to like break even on the first sale and just kind of make it back on LTV. That's kind of like the blueprint. I think what you guys are doing is very different because most people don't have the personal brand. Like it seems like that way to us because we open our feed and like there's all these people with personal brands, but it's like really just like 1% of the population, right? Like just think about your friends in real life, like none of them have personal brands. So it's honestly like very unique. What you guys are doing with the show where you're on there, you're discussing things so like not even like e-commerce, like you're talking about like biohacking, you're talking about longevity, you're talking about like whatever is interesting and cool for your customers. And then you're kind of showing them the product. Again, like much less than 1% of people are doing something like that. So I think you guys are pretty unique in the sense like, yeah, you're running Meta ads, like 95% of brands are doing that. And then there's some brands that like, they do some weird way. Like they don't run Meta, but like they start almost like on, I mean, it's not super weird, but like they only do Google ads or they only do like native. And then like, maybe they're even like TikTok shop first. Like we've had some brands like they scale TikTok shop before they scaled anything else. There's a ton of brands that are like Amazon only that we work with that like kind of blows my mind, but like they were early on Amazon where like it was just easy to rank if like you could make a good listing. And then like 90% of the revenue comes from Amazon. So I think you have the meta element that a lot of D2C brands have, but I think now you guys are morphing in a direction where you're understanding the power of like being a little bit unique and like getting content that like maybe other brands aren't going to be able to get by doing the pod and just like leaning on the personal brand. That would be like my outside looking in perspective on like how you guys are doing as a brand. And I think that's what makes you interesting to have you on a pod, because otherwise it would just be like, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, every month we're adding new creatives into Meta and we're bumping. Yeah. Right. Like that's what it would be for like 90% of people in the space.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate that. And funny enough, you kind of do this too, right? Like your jokes, as much as people like know you for memeing and whatnot, like everyone knows Zane, bro. Like, you know, and that's not just blowing smoke. Like you get yourself out there really well. And then afterwards goes, oh, what does Zane do? Oh, he's like one of the best TikTok agencies, and it works really well. Obviously, look at you.
Yeah, I think there's always like a crowded play, but that works. Like, for example, like if you're an agency, like the number one thing that you're going to do is just like be posting on LinkedIn, or you're going to do like cold email outreach. Like that's kind of what everyone does. It works, right? Like it works, but it's a very crowded space where like you're constantly, it's just like very competitive versus to like go over on X and like be making memes is like something that like is a unique skill set for me that like I just enjoy doing, where I could sit there and like make like 5-10 posts on X versus it would kill me to write like one thing on LinkedIn, right? And I'm like cringing while I'm posting. I'm like, dude, I hope nobody sees this. And it works. That works too, right? But like that's just not really my personality. And like anything that you enjoy, it's just so hard for people to beat you at, because it's just like you're doing it for fun and they're like doing it for work. And there's competitors that I have that crush on LinkedIn, right? Because they think a lot that way. Maybe they came from corporate backgrounds or like whatever it is. They have a personality type that's just better suited for LinkedIn. They crush on there and they get a ton of inbound. So it's just like doing what's easy for you and what's fun for you. And then like there's less competition because it's just like you're wired differently than some other people might be, you know?
Yeah, there was a kid who was much younger than me in my fraternity in college. I think he was like a freshman. I was a senior, like right around that age gap. I think that because that's how I know him. He was a B2B salesperson in tech, and he started like basically becoming an influencer on his own on the side on like TikTok and Reels, doing like, you know, day in the life corporate sales type stuff. And then he started a B2B influencer agency. So like he will make, you know, UGC and whatnot for B2B sales. Very different from what we do. So, you know, if a SaaS is looking to make B2B, or like even like your agency, they would make influencer content for you. And he's like, his name's Ben Matano. Maybe we can get a link. I'll send you what his agency is, give him a plug for free. But he's a LinkedIn king. And it's funny, like him and I have had like and we've had like a funny back and forth because I posted a TikTok once on my personal brand, like I'm never logging into LinkedIn again. But he's like the king of it. And he loves it. He was like, brother, you're messing up. Like there's so much money to be made. Just like you said, like there is. And he's good at it. He's really good at it. He has the tone, like the corporate mix of like I'm an influencer, but also like keeping it cool. Like I say retarded way too much to ever be on LinkedIn. So like I can't ever do that. It's just interesting that like everything works for certain people and in their way. But also like everything works. You just got to figure out what your thing is.
100%. Everything works. There's multiple paths. You just got to like stick to something that you like, something that's working. You just double down on it and just like be consistent. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, we've been going close to an hour now. I don't want to hold you up too much more. I got one final question.
Yeah,
TJ, if people want to find you, they want to find the brand, where should they go? Where can they find you on social media? Where can they find the brand? Where can they find the new pod? Drop it on us.
Yeah, 100%. So the easiest way to find me is at TJ_Bongiorno on X. You can get everything from there. The show is called Down to Health or at DTH Show on all platforms. And the brand is The Outgoing Co. theoutgoing.co or at The Outgoing Co. on all platforms.
Sweet. And we're going to drop it all in the description as well. So check the description for those links. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. It's been fun. It was a lot of really good discussion.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for
hopefully for sure. Hopefully I'll see you around snowy New York or Miami or something for an event. And
yeah, another streak soon, huh?
Yeah, dude, I would love that.